about, well, what about if I put together a panel of industry professionals and they can answer questions about what do we do if we just joined or if we joined a long time ago, and how do we get back on track? So this is sort of my dream panel, and I'm excited to be able to share it with you all. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring them on out. Now that you've joined SAG-AFTRA, how do you go about getting an agent or a talent manager?
Hi, again, I'm Mitch Poulos, and I work at Aspire Talent Management. And I just want to put it out there that our co-founder, Madeley Weissman, was supposed to be here, but she has a stomach flu right now, so I'm here. However, I've been working with the company for more than 3 years, and I'm also an actor myself, so it's great to see both sides of it. So how to go about getting one? Well, you know, it's funny, referrals are always the best. That's a method we prefer, but we understand that there's so much talent out there, and right now a lot of, you know, those workshops aren't really happening anymore. And sometimes we get calls during the day, which can be annoying. I mean, the other day we got a call and the assistant answered, and the person just started pitching, because we also do literary, also pitching a story without even saying hello. You know, and she was like, you know, and so that's not the way to go. Email is the best. And I'm happy to throw it out to you right now. We're at talent@Aspire, A-S-P-I-R-E, talent. I don't have to spell that. And management is abbreviated mgmt.com. And of course, we want to keep it brief, and we always say, please don't attach your pictures and your resumes and everything, just send a link, you know, and we may or may not be able to get to you. We may put it in a folder. We may watch a clip immediately, and it may just be too busy, episodic season or pilot season, to look at it, but it counts, everything counts. It's how you go about it. I don't recommend just stopping by somebody's office. And just be wise, but especially if you know a friend who is a client, I think that's the best way to go.
If I can jump on that, I'm actually a client at Aspire Talent Management, and in 2015, I put together a targeted list of managers. I went on IMDb, I looked through, I went, okay, it's gotta be in the top 1,000 rating, but not the top 100, I'm not ready for that yet, and started just really putting together a list of 60 managers. And for me, I'm also a producer, so I wanted a management company that also that either had producers in them or understood producing, so that was a big gauge for me. And I emailed all 60 managers 1 week, emailed them the next week, emailed them the next week, and during that time I got 5 interviews. One was with Aspire, and I got 2 offers and signed with Aspire through email. So it's really about crafting a really great pitch email, having a subject line that is compelling, that's intriguing, but also not trying too hard. You know, it's not about telling them your entire resume and everything you've done, but what are the really great bullet points and highlights that would pique their interest. And please don't attach headshots, resumes, that kind of stuff. Links, everything links. You don't want to clog their inbox with stuff. But emails do work. I lived in New York for 20 years. I've been here for 4 now, and I feel that in LA, emails work way better than they do in New York. They don't read emails in New York, but here they do. So email is a great way to go.
And one other thing I want to say is that IMDb Pro, which everyone should have a subscription to, and use the SAG-AFTRA discount, 30% discount, very important, is a great way just to search agents, search managers, and to look at their clients. You can't do that in the regular IMDb. And to see what kind of people they have there, and maybe where they're lacking, you know.
I ditto, excuse me, I ditto everything that was said so far. One thing, if you're gonna email, something that I highly recommend is to track your emails. So if any of you guys use like a free service like Banana Tag, B-A-N-A-N-A-T-A-G, Banana Tag, or if you use Chrome, Google Chrome, you can use Sidekick. And what it allows you to do is, has anyone ever thought like, did they get my email? Does anyone ever think that? Am I the only one?
Or did they open my email? Did
Right,
they read
exactly,
my email?
exactly. And so now you can easily track for free, stealthily, emails. You can see if the rep opened your email, if they clicked a link. And so there's a few things you can gauge by doing this. It's almost like getting unspoken feedback, even if the rep never responds. So for instance, once you integrate the plugin, it's free. It'll show you, pull up the dashboard, and it's like, okay, this agent didn't even open my email. Maybe I need to change the subject line because maybe it went to spam. Or if they opened it and didn't click your link to your materials, that means your cover letter, whatever you wrote in the email, probably wasn't enticing enough to get them to actually click the link. And so some people, they're like, well, let me just keep changing my materials. But if they're never clicking to the materials, you're just wasting a lot of time doing that. So I highly recommend tracking if you use email. So you can track individual emails with like Banana Tag, Sidekick. There's a few other software and plugins that you can use. And then one of the most powerful things I think you can include as a bonus to your cover letter, you can put a link to this like a spreadsheet on your Google Drive, let's say, is your like networking connections tracker. So basically people in this town that already know, like, and trust you, that you've worked with, or friends of yours that are producers or casting directors or people you've worked with, that can be extremely valuable because that makes that rep's job so much easier if they see that you already have those relationships. And so like on my tracker, when I share with my team, I put little notes like, we road trip together in January, so if we're really close friends, I'll add that. If we're not so close friends, maybe I won't add a detail. I'll add details where it helps, and then stay vague if it's like not a super close relationship. So that's like a bonus piece of material that you can include in your submissions that has been pretty helpful.
And I always do everything different than everyone else, and in keeping with that, we actually do a self-tape interview that you do on your own. I want to see that you know how to self-tape. I know I'm doing a lead-in for this panel, but I do that. And because we're focusing right now on commercials, and they're even allowing self-tapes now, sometimes for commercials. So I want to know my people can self-tape when I throw them stuff. And so I have you do a little demo for me, a little self-tape, and include your materials for us, and it's on our website. Our website's bermansachs.com. And one thing that's really funny about the self-tapes, because we asked for just an informal for this, it's the first step for us to see if we want to give you an interview and meet you in person, because I don't want to waste anybody's time. We also say at the very end, we want you to tell us something wonderful about yourself. And it's funny how hard that is. And you'd think that would be the easiest thing, but it's the hardest thing for people. So that's what we do.
And now that you've got the meeting, how do you prepare? What should you do to prepare for the meeting? How should someone come in? How should they prepare to meet with you? What do you want them to bring to the table when they come in?
We ask for a meeting, really, I just want the person to be relaxed and to be themselves. I want them not to be nervous. I remember one time I met with a girl years ago, and she was so nervous that she fell into an asthmatic attack. Literally, I hadn't even said anything to her, and she just got so nervous. And so you forget sometimes, I think, us on this side forget how nervous you could work yourself up to be when we're not nervous and we're just so happy to meet you. And I think the thing to remember is you're going to be yourself, be on time, I always say bring a headshot. I don't use hard copies of anything, but I do use it for the meeting. And so bring your headshot. Maybe sometimes I ask for proof that you are a SAG-AFTRA member because I can't find out if you really are, unless I have your social security number after. There's no way for me to search and find out without that information. So I have to find out from you, and so I ask for the card just to see it, or a copy of it. And that's really it. That's all really I ask for. I'm looking to see, will you be on time? So will you be on time when you have the audition with her? Are you going to, be on time? Not mess up her schedule,
Can I add to that?
Absolutely.
I found personally that when I took meetings with agents, they appreciated if I was well aware realistically of how I'm perceived, how I'm cast, I gave them an itemized list of casting directors I had relationships with and how good those relationships were. You know, these people will see me. These people like me. And then I also gave them a hit list of casting directors' offices I wanted to get into. So I think it helped a lot in these meetings with the current agent that I have, because I knew exactly what I wanted, and I was able to articulate that. Like, here are the goals for my career. Here's where I am right now. Here's where I want to get. And they seemed pretty impressed. And at one point, they said, "You really need to write that show," because I told them exactly how I saw myself in 5 years. So,
I think that's a really wonderful thing. If you came into our office and had that already, we would love it. We have a spreadsheet that we have all of our clients fill out with their fans and relationships that they've established, which you know well, Jody. And it's something we refer to all the time, especially when submitting, because it's hard always to just remember the top of our head, and we have that easily accessible where we could say, now didn't she meet with, you know, so-and-so? And so, but coming in with all of that information already impresses us that you are a working actor, that you're a professional, and especially knowing what you think your type is a good start to see if it's unrealistic. And also, it's great to know that you come into the room just being you, because I know myself, it took a long time as an actor to realize I have to stop trying to fit into a category. I am the only one that is me. And you know, so it's interesting to watch and observe that. And we don't have you come in and audition for us, because we look at any of your tapes and footage that you have, and that's important to us. And so that's a whole nother topic that I guess we will get to later.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. I love what everyone's saying, and every time I work with a client and they might be not represented at the time, their question is, how do I get in? I'm like, well, what do you sell? What do you book? What do you sell? How do people see you? And that is the biggest thing. If you want to get an agent, you want them to trust you and build that rapport, you have to know how you're perceived in this industry, and you have to know what you sell. You have to know your brand. You get to know that. That is part of your job. You know, you can't leave that up to them, like, how do you see me? Maybe we could 20, 30 years ago in this business, but you can't anymore. So you have to know that. You have to come in with that information. And I love the targeted list of all the people that know you. You must do that. I call it a press kit. I come in with a list of the casting directors who know me, a list of TV shows that fit me like a glove, because there's how many TV shows we have running here now, but you're not right for all of them. Which one tell the stories that you tell? Which ones fill the brand that you sell and how you are perceived? You got to give them an idea of where you fit, because you also have to understand that you are interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you. Because if you've done your homework and you know what you sell and they don't agree with it, they might not be the right fit for you. And that's okay too, right? And adding to the nerves thing, I just want to say, we all get to remember that we're all colleagues in this business. And I think as actors, we tend to put a lot of people up on pedestals all the time, and we look at casting as the gatekeeper and agents as the solution, and we look at us down here. And that's not the case. Nerves kick in because we're placing people higher when we're all the same. We're all just trying to make this work and work together, right? So that's one of the biggest things I'll say is look at everyone as the same. We all brush our teeth, we all poop, we all, go to bed, we all put our jammies on. Like, we all do those things. So let's just relate to people as human beings. Because if you can relate to an agent and a manager and casting directors as human beings, they're going to remember you, because most people don't.
Yeah,
and
but
on the
I just want to say,
Yep, you're on.
I agree that we're all the same, but I love actors. I've been an agent, I've been in casting, I've produced, and I defy most producers to get in front of a camera and carry a film. So I just gently remind that we might be able to do each other's jobs, but very few of us can do what you do. I'm not willing to. I could cry at the drop of a hat. Think about my Nana, think about my dogs, I'm gone. but I'm not willing to share that part of my life where you all get that raw. So just remember that, because it happens to be true.
Thank
Group
you.
hug, group hug.
But it's true. That's my truth. I couldn't do what you do. I'm not willing to do what you do. So, yeah.
That's why I wanted you on the panel.
Oh, geez.
On the topic of fit, there's a lot of questions that you could be asked, and so anticipating the types of questions that you could be asked, especially if there is an objection that might be on their mind, like why on your resume, if you haven't worked in a few years or something, if you know that that's what they're thinking, because they might be thinking that, well, why the gap? Like, answer those, be ready to answer those or preemptively answer those questions. And two of my favorite questions to ask in terms of fit are, like, one would be, what are the qualities you look for in prospective clients? Because then you get a gauge of like what it is they're looking for, and if there's some things that align with what you offer, great. And also, I like starting out meetings with what inspired you to want to meet with me today? Because sometimes I don't know exactly what it was about my cover letter, or if I was referred, like what inspired them to want to meet with me. So for yourself, that's really great clarity to have, so you know what they see in you. And that could give you a lot of insight as to like whether this is the right relationship for you.
And Lisa, you mentioned headshots. What are you looking for in a headshot? What makes a good photographer? Elaborate.
I'm looking for your headshots to look like you. Okay. Because if I call you in, I want that look, because if I don't know you. So it doesn't do you any favors to retouch your headshot and take out your mole. Unless your mole can be covered with makeup on film, then that's fine. But if your mole can't, then it doesn't do any good for you to get rid of it and then go into the office. Because there's roles, I always say this, there's roles for everyone. And so you're not doing yourself any favors if you're not presenting yourself as you are and as you're going to present in the room. I look for, I'll finish and then I'll answer your question. I look for really good lighting in photographers. That's the main thing. And I like photographers that you feel comfortable with. I've found that if you go to the best photographer or whatever, but you don't like them, then you're going to get bad photos. So I always tell my people, I'll suggest some photographers that here's 6 that are fabulous. I don't know if they'll be fabulous for you, because I don't know if you'll like them personally, but look at their website, see the lighting they use, see the colors they use, and so you get a sense of what I like, because what I like is what the casting directors will call in. So that's how I do it, but I hope that answered the question.
And on the subject of photography, what's a reasonable amount to actually expect to spend on headshots, and how often should they be updated?
Again, I would say some of the best photographers that I know that actually really work on the high end, 1,300, I would say 1,400. Usually it's 4 to 5, I would say. And sometimes you can get deals, 150. Like, say you just need a quick look, you're missing one look. So I say it's the gamut of that. But also some people have friends that are great photographers. I know some casting directors prefer you to even use a headshot that your friend took, because you're so relaxed and you're yourself. I have sometimes found really great headshots from my people from their Facebook pages. Like, they're using a profile photo and I'm like, oh my God, that photo's perfect. Where'd you get that? And they're like, oh, this is, I was diving, I was in the lake at Yosemite or whatever. I'm like, we're gonna use that for your body shot. And it gets them work. But how often do you take it? I'll tell you, for commercials, and you guys are going to get mad, every 6 months. I know, you're like, no. Okay, sometimes a year. Some people try to use 5 years in between, and then they're complaining that they're not getting out. Well, casting sees your photos every day, and they know that's a 5-year-old photo. They've seen it 1,000 times. And the best way to kickstart your career is new photos. So, and I'll just wrap it up, if my opinion is the biggest mistake new actors make is being married to their photos. You have to retake photos all the time. It's part of your job. If you have a good, the great thing about managers is they help you with the photos. I love it when people have managers because I know they're going to give me fantastic photos. That's what managers do fantastically. And but you have to be willing to take new photos. And if the photos you take don't work, you got to take another shoot and maybe try a different photographer. But you're gonna create your opportunities for yourself. Its first step is your photos.
I'm sorry. I would like to just jump in here and say that, when you decide you want to have headshots, sometimes it's, okay, I'm going to do it, I'm going to get it done now. And we actually slow you down and say, okay, we're going to take 6 weeks now, and we are going to give you a list of people that we do like, but also we want you to investigate, and we have you do that, and we have a little, it's another Google Doc that we share with you. And then anyone guilty of this, because I certainly was as an actor, the day before or even the morning of it, I go in my closet and I pull stuff and I go to the session. No one else does that? All right. Okay. No, but seriously, a lot of actors do that. We really have you look through magazines and pull pictures of people, of real people that you want to identify with and to select, because we want to get a variety of pictures, obviously, from you, especially at the beginning, unless it's one of those things where you just need one look. And we have you pull, and we discuss every detail back and forth, and it can be annoying, but it's amazing what happens. And then at the end, we sort through hundreds and hundreds, because now with digital, I mean, sometimes it's 800, and then we get to send a nice little link to the agent and say, here's our favorites, we'd love you to look at those. If you don't like it, we could send you everything, and because agents have a lot more clients than managers do. So it's a process, and don't ever wait to the last second like I used to.
It's definitely a process. You get to prep your headshots. I just, have built the Business of Acting program at Relativity School, and I just took 9 kids to their headshot sessions. And we've been prepping for 6 weeks, 7 weeks for their headshots. You gotta know what you sell, you gotta know your brand, you gotta know your looks, how many looks are you getting? If you can add a layer, does that change the look? If we change the background, does it give a new vibe? You get to know what colors look best on you. I would urge you to get your colors done, because a lot of times pictures don't work because you don't know what clothes fit you well, what colors work well, and you don't know the angles of your face or the lighting that works best for you. And you can't just rely on a photographer to do that. You get to know that information. We trust the photographer will support us in that, but if you don't know that stuff, you get to. Like, I know, please don't photograph me from my right side because it's terrible. You gotta photograph me straight on or my left. Do not do the right, because I will never get booked on that photo. You just gotta know those things. So you really gotta prep your looks and your wardrobe. It's not bringing a big suitcase to the shoot and go, what do you think? You gotta know. You gotta know what's gonna sell you and represent that look best for what you sell.
Yeah, we even go a little bit crazy sometimes. We want to hear some of the inner thoughts of this particular look that we are looking at. We want to hear what kind of music you might be listening to. It makes a difference when you're there, instead of just trying to make a nice face. And all of our clients always come back thanking us for this process, even though we were a little annoying.
And on top of absolutely prepping your shoot, and ideally coming up with a few looks, like once you know which looks you're doing, then having example shots that you show the photographer, and ideally maybe pulling some from their website, since they should know how they set up that lighting and that shot. So, for instance, one of our coaching clients, Charles, his friend was a professional photographer but had never done headshots before. And he was like, hey, I'm going to get my headshots done for free. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And he's like, I have the time. It's cool. I'm like, all right. So it was about putting those example headshots for each specific look that he was looking for. And then he showed his photographer friend, and his friend was like, oh, is that what you want? Okay, cool. Yeah, we can do that. Because a lot of times the idea in your head, if you don't have it on paper and showing something visually, they might think something very different. If you're like, oh, I want a procedural shot a la CSI, they might be like, okay, cool. Because a lot of photographers, they don't have a marketing background. And so ideally you want to be photographer proof. And Charles's headshots turned out so well that he, a commercial agent on LA Casting came across his photos and basically signed him right from those photos that he took for free from his friend. And it was just because he was photographer proof. He could have shot with almost anyone and gotten good photos because of how prepared he was.
And you kept mentioning looks. I think all of you mentioned looks. How many looks do you need? And for the beginning actor who's kind of fresh out of the gate, just joined SAG-AFTRA and may not have a lot of money fresh out of the gate, what do you need to help launch them? And for someone that's sort of at a turning point or needs to give their career a boost, how many looks do you need to really get it going?
I'll say, I tell my people at bare minimum I want 5 looks. And I'll tell them the 5 general looks that I want. I'll tell you guys. I'll tell everyone who's watching, whoever watches this show. You're going to know my secrets. 5, and they're so easy. You want a casual. You want an office. You want a 3/4 body shot. So you're going to be wearing tight-fitting clothing, okay, so they can see. And there's roles for every body. You can be any size, but you just want to show for when you need that. You want something in glasses, no glare, maybe take out the lenses, and you want something showing your hands and your forearms with your nails side out, okay? No nail polish, okay? Now, some of these can all be in one shot, so you could have a body shot that's showing your hands because you're holding a basketball and you're wearing glasses or whatever, but you have it all in one photo, that saves you money. But that, if you give me 5 photos in those, and you cover that, I can get you up for all the commercials that are casting. Because I have your business look, I have your casual look, sometimes they ask me, I can only submit body, if they have a body shot. Even your hands, if you're really into being like a hand model, you wanna make some money that way, hand model auditioning is really cool. And they pay you for your auditions. Did you know that? SAG-AFTRA. So that's to reimburse you for manicures is the idea behind that. But if you're really into it, then you take a photo only of hands, not your body, okay? You have that up online, but always have it holding something. Like, so this microphone, if you took a picture, you get a sense of how big my hand is. So men, sometimes they'll hold a football, right? And so you get a sense of how big your hand is, or you're holding a cup, or he's holding a bottle of water. So we know how big his hand is. And some of you have small hands, so you could be children, whatever. So that's how you do the hand model stuff. The reason we say forearms, too, okay, is it for spokesmodels? They want to see your this and your hands. Do you have a lot of hair on your arm? That's what they're just trying to see. So these are the 5 things that we always ask for. Now, I'd love more than 5, but that's the 5 things. And then when you're getting into, and then what she was saying about, I really want to be a detective in this television show. So you might want to dress for that role. I mean, I think people should get stylists, And I always say to people, it's that important. Really is. I always say, do you have a friend that does wardrobe for television or has a friend that does the wardrobe for music videos? They're the people to ask about wardrobe. And if you don't know, don't fast forward through the commercials. Don't watch them. The Lowe's commercials, what are they wearing? They've been styled, right? And is that the role that you could get cast in? What are they wearing? The women, are the women wearing a sweater and the t-shirt underneath matching, or what is the style that they're wearing? Try to get that, maybe go shopping, maybe don't take the tags off, maybe do the shoot, then return the prop. Have we done that? Yes, we do that. Do you have a leather jacket shot for your car commercials? There's the standard stuff, right? And then to play on that, women, you want to be able to play the mom. You've got the soccer mom, you've got going on date night, and then what's your brand, right? And then your brand, are you the boss? Or are you the receptionist? Are you right? And so it's just what's your brand? You guys know. When someone meets you, what do you get cast at usually? And the thing is, when you're starting out, you want to go with the brand. And I know all of you in here could do any role, and you could do anything. And you could be a homeless person, and you can be the CEO because you're that talented, and I believe you. But before you get known, you're going to have to go with your brand to get the credits, right? And then after they know you and you get the credits and you got that behind you, then you can go and be anything and do all those different roles. But to get started, you got to start somewhere, and that's how we do it.
We have the luxury of having casting here. I'd love to hear your opinion on this, of what pops out at you in pictures.
I think it's
You're on. I think you're on.
not lit up though.
Just talk into it and see.
Hello? I think it's a little bit different for me because it sounds like you're talking about commercials. For me, one headshot will do as long as it looks like you, as long as you leave your big earrings at home, as long as you don't have on gobs of makeup, because you're right. There was a time when I was casting, I remember this one particular thing, and my eyesight's okay, and I picked up a headshot, and then I went out into the reception area to bring somebody in for a reading. I had to go out there 3 times, and I still couldn't figure out who it was. I looked on the sign-in sheet, and the names matched. And then I finally figured out who it was. They came in and auditioned. And then I called up their agent. Remember, I was one. And I said, "Are you kidding me? Really?" I said, "Do something. Help your client." That was ridiculous. And I didn't embarrass the actor because I feel like it's our job to educate. But I was not happy with the agent. And nobody's more empathetic to agents than me. I lived through 23 pilot seasons before I switched. So I feel for them. But no, for me, I look at the resumes. Is there stage training? Is there Second City training? I'm always of the mind where it's like classical music. If you can play classical music, you can play anything. If you've got theater training, then it's just a matter of adjusting to the medium. I think that for commercials, they're looking for something more specific. For me, the world is your oyster. Come in, make a choice, give it your best shot. And then if I know that the director wants it a different way, or if I want to make an adjustment, then we'll have fun doing that. So it's a little bit different. And I also I have the luxury of trying to fit square pegs in round holes, as opposed to commercials where you're going in for a specific role to sell a specific product. So for me, it's a little bit different. But, everybody in here, I'm sure, knows better than to do this. I'm speaking to the girls now. The headshots where your head's thrown back and your chest is up against a doorway, that's not going to get you into my office. Care about what you're sending me. And just look like your picture. Me, I look at the photograph, I go right to the eyes. If it's in the eyes, I'm intrigued. And then if I flip over the resume and see theater or good film and TV credits, then come on in and show me what you got.
And you mentioned background and education. What do you look for in a potential client? What kind of acting schools or instructors? And what should the actor look for in an acting teacher, dialect coach, vocal coach? I know I've lumped a few questions together, but run with it.
Me? Okay. I'm looking for someone who I don't already have on my roster. That's what I'm always looking for. And I'm always looking for people who are nice. The one thing why we do the self-tape, and I say I get a sense of you from your self-tape. So I want someone who's personable and nice and can win the room when they go into a casting office. I think half the battle is, in my opinion, casting liking you and wanting to help you instead of really disliking you. I don't think that serves anyone well, and I don't think they get too much work if they don't like you. So I'm looking for someone that is friendly and nice and has some experience and has some background. I do work with all sorts of people, so I can't really say you have to have this kind of background or that kind of background. I have people who have masters, have graduates of Cal Arts and fine arts degrees, and theater people and people who actually have no background really. There might be athletes or that kind of thing. So I look for all sorts of different people. So
I would say we love theater on your resume. It doesn't mean you have to have it, but we love you having that background.
and able to make adjustments for film and TV. We love our clients to be what we call multi-hyphenate, meaning that they do more than one thing. Maybe they write also when they're an actor, they direct and they're an actor. We love clients that put together short films, create their own footage to help us. It's so important to have your materials intact. And I know it's hard. It's always hard to get to book that first job and to have footage. But nowadays you can film with an iPhone, amazing quality. I know you've all seen it. And there are places where you can go. You know, we don't want you to really go and spend money to do it, but you have to get ahead of the next person. You cannot just sit and wait. And many of us are guilty of saying, my agent's not working for me. It's just not working for me, you know?
We work really hard.
If you only knew. And it's so interesting for me to be on the other side as an actor and to really see and how disappointed we are sometimes when we can't get you in, even for that one-liner that we thought you were perfect for, even though we submit you for a big range of things. It hurts us too, you know, because we're invested in you too. But what's really frustrating is to see the clients that don't stay long with us either, that don't move forward, don't get a new picture, have the same headshot, and we have to fight them for it. The ones that we keep saying, we need your passport, so much is filming in Toronto, overseas, commercials, the next day you may have to fly to South Africa to film something, you know, and it's like these kind of things, you have to come in prepared, and that's what's important to us, and presenting all of that information to us, and having a job, an actor-proof job, that you can't say, I can't make this audition that we work so hard to get for you because I have to, you know, I have a shift today. I know it's hard. You have to find a way to work around that somehow. It's hard, we know.
I just want to say that another great source, if you're just starting out, there are incredible film schools here, and they are looking for terrific actors. So not only do you get on-camera experience, but you go to USC and read some of these short films that they're doing, or Cal Arts. I used to go out when I was an agent and scoop tons of actors from Cal Arts Northridge. Go to these LA Film School. They're all making short films. And some of them, a lot of them, are pretty spectacular. You know, there's a lot of places where you can get good footage on yourself. I just want to say this about a reel as somebody that's watched over 8,749,000 of them, is don't only put work on there that you're proud of. Don't put a piece on there to make yourself known as a type. And if you have a number of scenes or a few scenes from one particular show or film, don't break them up to extend them throughout by inserting other things. It really interrupts the flow of watching your performance, because I'm going, okay, there it is. Okay, then that goes, okay, fine. And that, you know, make it easy to watch. You know, there's many, many things that you guys can do to help yourselves. And I have to tell you, more than ever, I am empathetic to I have to say this, to managers and agents, because when I first got into the business, there were 3 networks, 2 syndicated stations, and Z Channel. You know, and just like I tell actors all the time, the first thing I tell them when they would come into my office when I was an agent is, if this is not something that you absolutely have to do, don't do it. It's just too hard. Go and do like a Waiting for Guffman theater group with your friends. If you don't have to do it. And I feel the same way about, this is something I have to do. I can't do anything else. I don't want to do anything else. It's where my creative soul lives and breathes. And the flip side of that is, don't let it be your everything. Have a hobby. I used to teach my clients needlepoint so that they had something to do when they were sitting in their trailers. But I'm serious now, because you will make yourselves insane. You have to have another outlet. You have to maintain a healthy life. Otherwise, that will walk right into my audition room.
Also, also, when you were talking about demos really quick, you guys, if we don't know you, don't do a demo where, we have some blonde, beautiful women in here. Everyone's beautiful. But don't do a demo with two blondes, okay? Because I don't know which one's you. Yeah. Because remember, it's this big. So I can't see anyways, but so you're this big and two women are talking and it's taking me forever I don't know which one's you. So you want to pick the demo, right, that you can spot it's you right away. So just think about the people that are watching it don't know you, okay? So just remember that so that we can right away know who you are.
And if you don't have like a demo reel right now that you're proud of, like when I was in a transition phase in terms of like what roles that I would be playing. So there was a period I was reaching out to a lot of top level managers, and my demo reel was like, this isn't how I look anymore, and I'm still waiting on material. So I just sent some self-tapes that I was really proud of that reflected the types of roles that I could see myself booking, and I'd make little notes. Like I'd say, hey, made top 20 for NBC Diversity Showcase with this tape. Or, I'd put little things to entice them to want to watch that self-tape. Or like casting director so-and-so immediately pass this tape on for producers for a series regular role on this. So if you have that, great, put that in there. Because I didn't have any real footage that I sent out because I just sent out like 3 self-tapes. And I got like great meetings with some really amazing managers. And then another thing you can do is this doesn't always work, but it can work really well. One of our coaching clients, Melody, at the time she had no TV credits, and she's really quirky. She's Asian, she's quirky, she's funny, she's spunky, and she created, in line with her brand, she created a demo reel on her iPhone. It was literally her and her phone, and she set it up. I don't think anyone even recorded her, and the top of it was like, hey, so I heard to be a working actor, you need a demo reel. Well, I don't have one, so here goes nothing. And like she just used her personality and basically did these little like mini sketches that were just herself. She's like, I can speak English. Like just the quirk, like basically her being herself and really out there and quirky. Now, does that work for everyone? Of course not. But what she ended up doing was she ended up sending that demo reel to a Comedy Central producer who didn't respond to her email. But a week later, she got a call asking her if she wanted to play a co-star on a Comedy Central show, and that was her first ever co-star. And since the first year she was working with us, she booked 8 TV shows. And it started with that demo reel that was just so personality heavy that showed exactly what she did really, really well. And it was really funny, even though it wasn't as professional as her current demo reel is.
And speaking of demo reels, what should be included on the demo reel? How long should it be? And how should it open? How should it close? Anything that should always be included on a demo reel?
Good work.
Yeah, don't include bad work. But you guys do great scene, and a horrible scene. When we're watching, we go, ooh, talented, ooh, talented. You see horrible scene, you go, oh, I guess not talented. You don't think, oh, well, just did a bad scene. It gives the impression, oh, not talented. Why did they include that? Did they not? You know what I'm saying? So cut it. Just do your good stuff.
If you're not proud of it, don't show it. If you're proud of it, strut your stuff.
Leave us wanting more. And we always think about the poor casting people who, they don't have time. You get to the point and move on to your next character if you can. Because some people say, I'm going to save my best for the last. They may not have time to get to the last. Yeah.
The other thing you can do, too, is I used to do this for my clients, and you can make it easier for your agent by doing it yourself, is make sure you have a key of what's on your tape. Because what I like to do is I would cue the tape up to the most appropriate segment so that the casting director knew exactly what I thought they were looking for, but also on the tape would be a key of what else was on there so that they then could see if they wanted to see something else. But, if I was sending in a sending in a tape, okay? If a demo, I would cue it up to where I thought the most appropriate scene on that demo was for that casting director, because that's what's going to entice them, and then hopefully they want to watch more or not, or just, you know, see what they needed to see, or I see what I needed to see. So you
I can
help
address
your
some of the
agents like
technical
that.
aspects of it. My first demo reel was 9 minutes long, so, but that was on, you know, a VHS tape. So now, after our attention span is so short now, I think shoot for a minute and 15 seconds, maybe. Sometimes 2 minutes if you're really good. And then think about if you have scenes where you're working with other people and you say something, and then somebody else says something, and somebody else says something, and then you say something again. Think about the people in the middle you can cut out so that it's you, other actor speaks, they're back to you again. And it doesn't have to make sense. If you're doing pieces from different projects, it's moments. You want to show them moments. Try to start with something really close, like a close-up headshot if you have one. Very close, medium at the most. You don't want to do full body shots in a demo reel because they're going to be looking at it on their phone or on your website. So I suggest people build reels that are a minute to a minute, 15 seconds, maybe a minute and a half long. And then if you want to show full scenes, put those on your website or put those clips up on Actors Access so that you can attach a specific clip that fits the kind of role you're submitting for when you do that submission. Does that make sense?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I like to look at them as reels and clips. They're two different things for two different purposes. So you're going to have your reel, 3 to 4 minutes possibly in that range, to get an agent, to get a manager, to have on your website, right? So people can just see the body of your work. Think of the reel as the trailer of you, what's going to tell the story of you the best, that they can get an overview of who you are. Then you want to break those down into clips. A clip can be 10 seconds, it could be 30 seconds, it could be 40 seconds. Under a minute, that's very specific to show those different headshot looks, to show those different pieces of your brand. Just like what Nancy was saying, she'd cue it up on the tape for that one piece. Well, we don't want to submit your whole reel for a role. We just want to give casting what they need. Be the solution, fill the void, don't give them the world. So you want to have clips, just as Tim said, on Actors Access, so that way for submissions, it's very specific. But have your reel to build your team and have it on your website.
Yes and no. Great. For me. Great. She's my producer, by the way. I'm casting a wonderful film for her. And I love her and respect her dearly. But for me...
But she disagrees.
but we're also talking about different things. We're talking about commercials versus film-based. I mean, because that's what I do. I want to see not just clips. I want to see whole scenes because I want to see if you listen to the other actor you're dealing with. I want to see, you know, how you acknowledge the other people around you. You know what I mean? So I think I'm just looking for something different.
Well, a clip can be a whole scene, as long as it's one particular specific scene, not a compilation of scenes.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because I like to see whole scenes, and I like to see a few because I want to see, like I said, if you're listening or if you're just not reacting in a genuine way. I want to see where you're looking. And there's a lot that I can see from a really flushed out scene. And a lot of times if I'm intrigued by somebody's a particular film, or I'll call the agent and ask if they have it in its entirety, because then I get to see continuity of a role.
Well,
So
we love
should you
hearing that.
have a sizzle reel of shorter clips that shows your overall body of work, and then a demo reel of clips that gives you the more in-depth scenes? Is
Yeah,
that what
I
you
think
suggest?
so, and also too, whatever you can get up on IMDb Pro, because that's my Bible. So, you know, for commercial purposes, I don't know if they use it, I'm sure they do. But for TV and film, if you can have a good tight reel up on there, it's one-stop shopping for me, and it's great. It's a real time saver.
And the thing you guys can do, the thing about having your demos up online, it's like you could be asleep and people will hire you. It's like, you know what I mean? I get people hired directly all the time from the stuff they have up online for me. And often we use the clip that you were talking about to get them interested, and then casting goes, I'm interested. Can I see more of that person's work? And then we send them the more work. But if you but the main thing is, if when you're downtime, get all your stuff up online somewhere. So IMDb Pro is my favorite. And because everybody has access to that. Because all casting directors don't all have access to Actors Access. They don't all have access to LA Casting. They don't all subscribe to Casting Frontier, and producers don't subscribe to any of them. So you have to have your materials in a place that everyone can get to. And if you use IMDb Pro, that's one way. And if you put all your stuff up now, there's no mad rush at the last second that we need to see the material that you did in comedy, and you're like, oh, my mom has that in her drawer back in Arizona, you know, but we need it now. So when you have the downtime, get all your stuff up online, get all your homework done, get it all there, because when you get the opportunity, when it knocks, you got like 5 minutes. You know, once we have their attention, when I have her attention, she's got 5 minutes she'll give me to get your stuff over to her, or for her to get it over to producer or whatever. So you all can be working on that right now. And yes, I have gotten people hired on television shows just from their websites when people are in a scramble, and this was before we used to do self-tapes. Now you get people interested, and then maybe they'll have you do a self-tape, and you'll get hired like in a day. They work really fast sometimes, you know, so just be prepared with your materials.
What I would like to say is that I spend most of the day, I'm doing the submissions and going through for episodics that work so quickly. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling the right headshot that matches this type of character, and then I'm going through your clips and saying which one is best for this. And even breakdowns now says when you upload a clip, they're saying don't upload a reel, upload a clip. You can attach several clips to send to the casting person. And the other thing about putting a reel in Actors Access is next time you book something great and you want to change your reel, they're going to charge you $22 a minute for the whole thing. If it's a four-minute reel or whatever, you know, you have to pay it all over again. So clips are great. IMDb, I love that you call it Pro, you call it the Bible. That's what I think of too. And even more than a website. If you have a choice between a website and putting stuff up on IMDb Pro, do that.
Yeah, because I oftentimes no time for the website. You have a question back there? Yeah. Speaking of IMDb Pro. Yeah.
Does your ranking play a factor? Does it really play a? Because I a lot of people.
What's your star meter?
Your star meter.
No.
Not to me.
Only,
Not to me at all.
Only if we're looking to get the film funded on your back. Other than that, no.
Oh, I think there's a new law that just got passed that's not allowed anymore.
Yeah, that's
just
actually
read-
been
oh,
fought.
okay.
We're
Those
going to
things, they're
actually
fighting.
take cards, questions on cards, and get to them as we can, because we have a lot of information that we're going to do. And one of the things that we're fortunate enough to have is Tim Powell teaches a self-taping workshop. Typically, it takes quite a bit longer than we
yeah,
have for this particular evening. So we're fortunate enough to have Tim do a quick study version of it.
Oh, okay. Normally, my self-taping workshop is 2 hours or 3 hours or 5 hours. But so I can take you down as many rabbit holes as you want to go. So when Shay asked me to do this, I quickly I said, "How much time am I going to have?" He says, "You're going to have 5 minutes." I was like, "What?" So I want to give you one tip that's going to change your life. I feel like I'm preaching right now. But I'm going to go over here and I'll show you something that will change the way you look at how you tape. And the only way people know you're using your smartphone is if you hold it vertically. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. There are apps that cost just a few dollars that will let you control all the aspects of the camera. There's one called Filmic Pro that's both platforms. There's one called Movie Pro. I also have my cards up here, which you can go to the website and find anything that I talk about is available on my website, including the hardware that I have over here. And can I borrow you? Yeah, sure. Okay, I want to show you guys something. And if you can count to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, here's your mark, right? Your mark is right there.
Based on
And right
space,
there.
we're doing it
So
behind the corner.
if you can
but
count to 5, you can improve the quality of your self-tapes. Let's hope this works. It should show up on the large monitor up there. It does. Okay, so the way a lot of people tape, just listen to me and look at the screens. The way a lot of people tape is they'll take a light and they'll have it at a low level, like camera level, and it kind of looks like this. And you see how it just kind of washes her out, and there's not a lot of depth there. So what we try to do when you tape is create a 3-dimensional look in a 2-dimensional space, and the way you do that is count to 5. The first light, number 1, is the key light. Key, one light. So this is the main light, and it's the brightest light, and it's the key light. And you want it at a 45-degree angle, which is up high. Our sensibilities appreciate light that comes in like sunlight. So at a 45-degree angle, that's one light. And then we add a second light. This is number 2, which is a fill light. So that first light creates a lot of shadows on that side of her face. You see that? So they're real harsh. And then we add another light, and it softens the look by filling in the spaces. So that's 1 and 2. And then we're going to add a third light. This is the magic one. This is called a backlight, a key light, a backlight or a hair light or a halo light. And you see how it wraps the light around her and fills in the space, and it pops her out from a solid color background. So always use a solid color, neutral color black background, like a soft blue, a soft gray. Don't use white. Don't use patterns and don't have stuff going on in the background. I was listening to a casting director speak recently, and she said she got a self-tape, and there was a Roomba on the floor behind the girl. She was shooting it in her kitchen, but she said the whole time she's going, when is that thing going to start vacuuming? Because it was on the floor. So very quickly, 1, the key light, 2, the fill light, 3, the backlight, 4, 5 is a 45-degree angle. So the lights are facing the person at a 45-degree angle. If you would, hold your arms out, point at the lights. See, those are 45-degree angle away from her, and they are also at a 45-degree angle down. So 1, key light, 2, fill light, 3, hair light, all at a 45-degree angle. And you can do this with anything. These are LED lights with a nice soft white filter on them. That set of lights is $200. You could do this with a couple of China globes and some $14 LED dimmable light bulbs from Home Depot. The backlight that I'm using on her is a $6 shrub light called a stake light that I got in the Home Depot gardening department. And I used a little black foil just to make it snood. But you see what that does is it pops her out from the background, and we have a 2-dimensional person or a 2-dimensional space that looks like 3-dimensional. And this works with your phone, it works with an expensive camera, it works with a DSLR, whatever you use, the same principles apply. And I tell people when, like I'm doing a workshop on Monday, and I tell people at the beginning, once you learn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3-point lighting, this is called, you're gonna see it everywhere you look now. It's like when you're getting a divorce. It seems like you hear about divorce all the time, or you're breaking up with somebody. Every song on the radio is about breakups. You're gonna be watching TV and go, "Oh my God, that's 3-point lighting." Every time you watch the news, you'll see it all. Yes. I have my business cards here that have my website on it, and this particular brand is called Neewer, Neewer. They're on Amazon, a couple $100. And that's the stands, the lights, the power supplies, and the filter, everything, and carrying cases. The backlight, I don't remember the brand of the backlight, but you can use just about anything. You could use a little scoop. You can use the light that's coming in from your front window. You can use one of those clip lamp things that you get. You just want a soft light that hits the back of the head and shoulders, and that will pop the person out from the background. So, It's 3-point lighting. 1, 2, 3 at a 45-degree angle. Yes. Well, you want your person who's on camera to be at least 3 or 4 feet away from the background. And it just depends on the camera. If you're using your smartphone, you want to move the phone closer to them, because if you use your digital zoom, it starts breaking up the picture. So you need, like, a 10 by 6. I'm actually using half of my backdrop here just for this setup because Shay asked me to bring it in, and usually I set it up across the front here and go over these principles.
It really does cover this whole space that we have here, but I filled it with people.
You filled it with people.
I filled it with people. So
that's the truncated, that was my lighting workshop.
I gave him the corner this time, but I really, really wanted him on this panel because he's jam-packed with information.
Okay, is that quick enough?
That's great.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Thank you. So I'm going to take this time to thank the panel and everyone on it. And thank you all for taking the time to show up. And have a good night.